Hi, this is Nuntype, and this is a video response to the VMA performance Paparazzi by Lady Gaga. I think it's a pretty amazing performance, to be honest, for a pop musician. I mean, like, the amount of symbolism, etc. in it is quite sweet. Because, I mean, if you think about it, at the start of the song, she's lying down resting or something, and the dancers, which I see as representing the paparazzi, they come over and they lift her to her feet, and so I think that shows like a sudden rise to fame. But you see, if you look at it again, it looks like she's picked up against her will, so it could also say that paparazzi can like hound you and make you famous whether you like it or not. And then the next noteworthy thing, like at the start of the video, she's wearing this like awesome headpiece and cloak, and it's all very Gaga. And then like a few, maybe a minute and a half in, the dancers, they take like her headpiece and the cloak, and they take it off her, and that, I think that's like an invasion of privacy and like decency. So I think that's commenting on like how paparazzi can sort of get into your personal life, and they can sort of strip you bare in front of the public and just alright bitchiness really. And then the next thing, which is pretty important but I haven't really figured out yet, is at the chorus coming up, she starts walking with a crutch. So I think that's like paparazzi are wearing down, and I'm not quite sure why it's a crutch instead of something else, but I think that's showing like how she's getting fatigued by the whole thing. Sort of like Princess Diana, she like found paparazzi chasing her really exhausting. And then at the same time, a girl with like a mask, which is sort of weird if you think it's about fame and sort of celebrity. So I'm not quite sure why she's wearing a mask. But anyway, this girl in a mask is wheeled out in a wheelchair, and she briefly appears center stage. So there's a few things that she could represent. I think one, she could be like a one-hit wonder who's sort of briefly enjoying her time in the spotlight, and the wheelchair sort of symbolizes how much control the paparazzi have over her. I mean, you can't get much more control than someone being able to push you around if you're in a wheelchair. Like, you're going this way and this way. So yeah, or it could be like a sort of symbolism of the sort of like freaks that you get, like sort of those tabloid stories where it's like crazy mom has 15th child or something like that. Or she could be a past victim of the paparazzi. Well, I say victim, but you know what I mean. That's briefly returned to the spotlight. But yeah, I'm not quite sure about the wheelchair girl yet. So anyways, moving on. Next thing, there's this sort of dance off between her and this one guy, and I think that's like a fight between her and the paparazzi. Like, remember when Bjork punched that like reporter coming out of the airport? That was like sort of like this, but sort of different. But yeah, so I think that's what that's about. She's sort of like, hey, fuck off paparazzi, I need to have a bit of me space. And then she sort of like has to. And the interesting thing is, I don't know if it was on purpose, but like after that, it looks like she limps away. She sort of walks really funny. So I think maybe that's like, I think it might be because she didn't come out well from the whole ordeal, like it sort of damaged her public image. So her limping shows that damage. Not really sure, but she like retreats to her piano, and she plays this sort of awesome like power chords, and it's pretty intense. So I think that's when whatever causes her death happened. I think that's like symbolizes the actual incident. Now the incident itself, I'm torn between whether it's like a John Lennon killed by fan thing or a Princess Diana killed by fame thing. Like either one would be appropriate, I think. But the most interesting thing is when she starts bleeding. I mean, you obviously need help if you're bleeding profusely from your chest, but when she starts bleeding, she sort of walks down center stage, and it looks like she's sort of pleading to everyone. And that's one of the only times during the entire performance that she's on her own. So it's like, okay, you've been stalking me for ages. Now the one time I need some help, you're just gonna all fuck off and do nothing. Great. And then sort of, so she's like begging for help, and then the paparazzi burst back into life, and they're like, ooh, and like they're in sort of a frenzy, and they're all like taking photos, like, oh, yes, she's broken down, she's having a sort of flip out. It's sort of like the Britney Spears thing, when like everyone loved to say, "Oh, look at Britney, she's like so fucked up." So she's sort of like, she's like suddenly really famous. Well, not famous, but famous again. Like they're all like, "Oh, yay, Gaga," and they carry her away. And they're sort of, there's this one guy, and I'm not sure. He looks like he's sad, and he's holding her, and he's like, "Gaga," but then everyone else is like, "Ooh." And the thing is, they look like they're sort of in a ritual or a frenzy. And the thing is, like if they're in a sort of ritual, then that could be that this like thing happens regularly, and like, yay, victim number 27 or something. So that's quite weird. But it also looks like they're celebrating because they're also like, yes. So that might mean that sort of the public in this fucked up world, which is actually quite similar to ours, accept what they're doing and they don't really mind the ruthlessness. So, and then she's hung, which is pretty important. And there's roughly something that looks like a halo behind her head, which is kind of weird. Working in a bit of Jesus imagery there. But yeah, I think it was an amazing performance. I mean, the fact that you can interpret a pop artist's performance is pretty amazing. But on one last note, I think the costumes are quite important as well. Like, they look sort of gangster-ish, like bandanas and chains, etc. But they're all wearing white, so it's sort of like disguised as angels because like white's innocence, etc. But they're actually sort of like thugs. And the only colour in any of the costumes is blood, aside from like the pink bit in Gaga's hair, but I don't think that's really relevant. But yeah, amazing stuff. I'm not really sure what I think of the telephone video yet, I need to watch some more. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the VMA Paparazzi performance. I think it was phenomenal. But yeah, it was amazing. So, thanks for watching. Bye.